Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be talking about adventure bikes and why do they weigh so much nowadays? Makes absolutely no sense to me, but in all honesty, they all weigh fairly close. And I did some math. Hopefully I'm correct. BMW, because I started with them because they're the granddaddy of the adventure bike, right? The BMW R1250 GS. So we take a look here at what does one of these weigh. This is just to give an idea, right? Of course, there's different models and what have you, so it's hard to pick which one because that's up to you. But if we're just trying to get an idea of what adventure bikes weigh, and that's all this video is just a curiosity, really. I went here and I looked, and here's your capacity, here's your horsepower, pretty dang good. Big bike. It's going to be able to haul you around. It's going to have more than enough power for the roadway, and it's going to be way more than enough power for off road, right? So, it says usable tank volume 5.2 gallons. You always have to read the fine print though, because then you go over here, unladen weight, road ready, fully fueled, one. Huh? One. Go down here. According to guidelines, EU, blah, 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 with all operating fluids with standard equipment and refueled with minimum 90% of the usable tank capacity. Uh, well, this is the usable tank capacity, so, 5.2 times 90% is what? It's like 4.6 or something. Whatever. I use that number to then minus off of here. What is the true bike's weight? Who cares that it's fully fueled, right? I've learned that with my dirt bike. Like I have the Beta 300R Racing. Of course, I have it decked out with guards and this and that. But even before then, what's the biggest weight on the bike? It's my 5.2 gallon tank. But how often do I really fill the 5.2 gallon tank? I'm not, unless I'm doing a huge loop that is going to require me, or I feel the need that I might need it, or I might need to give fuel to other riders with me, and thus I'm willing to carry around 5.2 gallons of fuel. What does a gallon of fuel weigh? Well, a quick Google showed it weighs like 8.4 gallons, typically. 8.4 times my 5.2 gallon tank is 43.68 gallons. That's 43, we'll say 44 pounds of fuel added to whatever the bike weighs with all the other fluids. I'm not trying to take out any other fluids, but the fuel is so dynamic, right? If I only had a 3 gallon tank, so 8.4 times 3 gallon is only 25 pounds. And if you had the 8.4 times 2, a 2 gallon tank, that's only 16.8 gallons. So we'll say 17 gallons of fuel. Or 17 pounds, sorry, not gallons. 17, oh no, you don't want 17 gallons. 17 pounds. So with a 2 gallon tank, it's 16.8 pounds. With a 3 gallon, it's 25.2 pounds. And with my 5.2, it's 43.68 pounds of weight added to the bike. So the gas tank is a variable. I don't know on the adventure bikes how much you can get aftermarket tanks and this and that, because I don't own adventure bikes. I've never needed to look into that, and they all come with such huge tanks anyways. I couldn't imagine you would want something bigger, and if you for some reason was going on an adventure or knew there was a route where you're not going to be able to get fuel from here to there, you would just carry a couple containers, right? Roto packs or something like that. And you would just carry it for that section. You probably wouldn't use them anywhere else, just where you needed to, because, if you're carrying an extra 5 gallons of fuel, 5 times 8.4 pounds is 42 pounds. So if you're having a 5 gallon Rotopax on the back of your bike, that's 42 extra pounds to your bike. So I see the fuel as a very dynamic thing, right? You can have bigger tank, little tank. Like I can lose some weight and that will save, right? And a bigger guy is going to complain about the weight of this, but he weighs 300 pounds. I weigh 190. Somebody else might weigh 250. Somebody else might weigh 140. You know? So weight is very dynamic. So we all get wrapped up around what bikes weigh. So what does the BMW here, calculating their 90%, because that's what they did here, minus their fully fueled per the 90% only. Why not just fully fueled? Who the hell knows? For 549 pounds. Well, if you subtract the fuel, that's 509.68 pounds. Pretty heavy bike, so it's over 500 pounds, right? Well, I mean, if you round that up like you typically would, that's 510 pounds. Wow. So then I went over, well, African Twin. That's another popular bike, right? Well, its fuel capacity is 6.5 gallons, including the 1 gallon reserve. And the curb weight is 529 pounds, includes all standard equipment required, fluids, and full tank of fuel. Ready to ride. Full tank of fuel, ready to ride. Is 529 pounds, but let's subtract the fuel out of that. And we get, and by the way, the fuel weighs alone 54.60 pounds. That's quite a bit. And so the real weight of the bike, not including the fuel, which is dynamic, maybe you'll just put 2 gallons in it while you're in town. Maybe you'll fill it up with a 6.5. Maybe you'll only put 5 gallons in, you know? You might adjust that based on your riding. So I don't care to know what it all weighs together. It's interesting, but at the same time, we're not always going to have a fully fueled bike as the day goes on, especially. So the real weight without the fuel is 474.4 pounds. So well under 500 pounds. And it's a really good bike. It's a really big bike. It's a really powerful bike still. I don't know, you know? We're not comparing horsepower this time around, but I think that's fine. Now, this is where I got the pounds, 8.4 pounds. And so the next popular bike is the Tenere 700 or the T7. It is fuel capacity 4.2 gallons. So 4.2 gallons weighs 35.28 pounds. So it has a smaller fuel tank. It's a smaller engine size. I don't know what that equates to. Now, this has wet weight with 3 stars. I looked all over on the site for the 3 stars. I even went all the way to the bottom, went all the way down here. There's this one about the freight, and then there's a 1 star. They forgot to add the other stars, I'm guessing. So I don't know, and that's as far as I'm going to look into the 3 stars. But, so we'll take it at face value on this one, which is 452 pounds. We'll assume that's a real weight and no funny games. So if we minus the fuel, it's 416.72 pounds. So far, the lightest of the group. And then the next popular bike is the KLR 650. And I picked, now they have different ones. I picked the Adventure, that way it has the bags and what have you, right? So it's going to be a little heavier, granted. And I also picked the ABS 487.1 pounds. I have to read the star. Star says curb weight includes all necessary materials and fluids to operate correctly. Full tank of fuel, more than 90% capacity. So it can be anywhere past 90%. They could have put 91%. I don't know. So I'm taking face value as it's actually a full tank. But their wording means it might not be 100% full. And then California emissions, I added on, just in case you are in California, 2.2 pounds. So you have to add 2.2 to here. Then I minused the fuel weight. And we got 438.06 pounds. So, you know, that's more than the Tenere, but still less than the African Twin in BMW 1250 GS, which, you know, you're getting a lot less power with the Kawasaki and what have you. But that's where we're at with the weight. And then I was like, well, the Chinese are have this thing going now. They're trying to get into the adventure bikes. And I know GPX Moto very well, and I like their bikes. They've been reliable for us. And the Cove 450 Rally, I'm like, okay, kind of adventure, not really. I would say it's in a weird zone itself, what this bike is. But for fun, let's take it because some people might, slap a plate on it and do an adventure ride on the bike because potentially could be cheap, but the price range is pretty drastic. So it could be that, it could be that. Which makes their weights not make too much sense, right? So you go, I mean, different options, it's gonna weigh differently. I don't know how it couldn't, but we're gonna say the one here, the racing one for 54 horsepower, it has an 8-gallon fuel tank. Wow, that's like the biggest of the group, just barely though. It is 67.2 pounds just of fuel. So you have to add that on to the 320. But they're saying without fuel, the real weight is going to be 320. So we have to take that at face value. Find that hard to believe, but okay. 320 pounds. So far, that is the lightest, but that's with a question mark because we don't know. Triumph 1200 Rally Explorer. That's another popular bike. It's also same price range as the BMW. And I think it's a really nice looking bike. And this has all the stuff, right? This is the Rally Explorer. So we go down. It has the next biggest tank other than the MotoGP X450. It has a 7.92 US gallons. I don't know why they just didn't make it 8 gallons. I guess somebody said, we can't make it 8. It has to be under 8 at all costs. And they made it 7.92 gallons. They claim right weight, and there's no stars here. So I'll take it. We don't know how they figure their wet weight out, but 575.4 pounds minus the fuel weight is 508.872 pounds. And that is the next heaviest bike under the BMW 1250 GS. Then I know people are going to be like, well, not everyone buys that big BMW. How about the BMW 850 GS? Well, I decided last bike, we'll take a look at that. So here it is. Here's the F800 GS Adventure. For those that don't know, this is what it kind of looks like. I'm not going to click on the photos because I'm where I need to be. We're going to go back down to here. Back down. And again, BMW, so they play the game with the 90% tank of usable fuel, so 6.1, 90% of that, and then minus that off the fully fueled with the 1, because 90%. So bike is 538 pounds. Without the fuel is 491.884 pounds. The 6.1 gallons weighs 51.24 pounds. So when you look at this, I didn't really organize this, but a quick look, the lightest bike is the MotoGP X, if that holds true. But how much of an adventure bike is that? I don't know. So if we minus that one out of the list and say the traditional adventure bikes on the list, the next lightest would be the Tenere 700 at 416.72 pounds. And then it looks like, if I'm doing this right, it looks like the KLR 650 Adventure for the 438.06 pounds. And then you got the African Twin at 474.4 pounds. And then you have the BMW 850 GS, 491.884 pounds. And then, then you got the Triumph Tiger 1200, 508.872 pounds. And then you have the heaviest. The heaviest bike is the BMW 1250 GS with 509.68 pounds. So, out of these bikes, my personal would be probably the Tenere 700, but if not that, probably the African Twin. I think one of those is where I would be like, hey, that would fall in. But with the weight, I might go with the Tenere 700. That would probably be more than adequate for me. I know it felt skinnier to me than the African Twin, but that's all personal choice. But we all get wrapped up of how much bikes weigh, and we always weigh them with fuel, but the tank sizes on all these bikes are drastic. You know, the BMW 5.2, African Twin 6.5, the Tenere Center 4.2, Kawasaki KLR 650 Adventure 6.1, the Moto GPX Co 450s 8 gallons. I mean, come on. The Triumph Tiger 1200 7.92 gallons, BMW 850 GS 6.1 gallons. They're all over the place, and those gallons equal weight. More gallons, more weight. So, less gallons, less weight. I think that's why the Tenere 700, that's probably why they put it at 4.2 gallons, because if they actually made that bike with, 6 gallon, like the BMW 850 GS, a 6.1 gallon tank, it would probably put it up there pretty close to the weight, just trying to do some quick math in my head, and well, it'll still be a lot lighter than the 850, but it would put it up there. So, yeah, I don't know. What say you guys? What do you all think of the overly weighted bikes nowadays? These adventure bikes are just going blooming, man. It's like a dude that's always drinking beer every single day, just downing them, not caring about their diet or anything, and they're getting that beer belly slowly, and they're just not noticing that they can't see their feet anymore. And these bikes are just ballooning for no reason. They're always worried about horsepower, more horsepower, more horsepower. I tell you what, most riders can't use all the power there is anyways on the street, let alone using that in the dirt. No one needs 100 horsepower bike for dirt roads, trails, or anything. Not going to be able to use it. You're going to be able to ride just as fast on, say, a KTM 500 EXC as you will, and I'm talking about dirt road, as you will these bikes. Unless you have an absolutely straightaway flat section that's going for 10 miles, yeah, the BMW, all these bikes will pull away, but that's very rare. That's not the norm. And God, if that is the norm, I wouldn't even want to ride a motorcycle. It'd just be so boring on a dirt road, just hauling button on. It's fun from time to time. Believe me, when I had the Honda XR 650R, I got it up to 100, maybe just over 100, and it was insane on dirt. But that was fun to do short periods of time. I wouldn't want to do that all day long. That would just, wow. And if you go down at those speeds, ouch, it's going to hurt. So, and most people don't do that. Most people won't do those speeds at all. If they get up to 50, 60, maybe even 80 on a dirt road, that's like excitement for them. They're not pushing it more. Most people. We're not talking about, probably you watching the video are not most people. Probably the people I'm talking about are the people that are buying the bikes, going to Starbucks, and that's what they're using the bikes for. And they're not really watching my channel or other channels on riding. They're just not. So hopefully this just gave you insight and a quick look at the weights of these bikes. I just think they're ballooning out of uncalled for. It's uncalled for how big they're getting. Let's try for no more horsepower, don't need it, but lighter bikes, lighter adventure bikes. Let's try for lighter bikes that are well protected still, that still have a decent sized tank, but how about get better fuel economy so you don't need a 8-gallon tank or a 6-gallon tank, that you could get away with a 4-gallon tank and still go 300 miles. Just saying. What do you all think? Let me know down below. I read the comments, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. Have a good one. Stay well. Stay safe, my friends. Bye.